I would like to say something which could be useful or could be confusing. Just tell a bit about this, what they call inferential knowledge, empirical knowledge, and reviewing knowledge. Now, if you have been practicing for many years, you would come across these processes. So if you have some understanding of this, it may help you in your practice, clarify your practice, besides other matters. I first came across this many years ago. I came across a comment by Mahasi Sayadaw where he was asked the question. He asked in regards to the internally and externally. That means, what do you mean when you say you contemplate of the body in the body internally, and you contemplate the body in the body externally? So internally, of course, it is understood in oneself. Externally, it means in another person. So how do you contemplate externally? If I watch heroes rising and falling, if I put my hand there, maybe, yeah. So the reply Mahasi gave was, you do it through inferential. That means when you see yourself, so you are supposed that Pharaoh's abdomen also goes somewhat in the same manner. Okay, so far so good, huh? Now the next step. Now, Mahasi also says that the third insight knowledge, seeing all things as impermanent, is also inferential. Because the third insight knowledge says that in case all the things, the aggregates that arise in the world, it is anicca, seen, contemplated in terms of its impermanence, suffering, and non-self. Okay? Now, of course, he was explaining with reference to the Visuddhimagga and the commentaries and all that. Now he explains. You see, there is empirical knowledge and this inferential knowledge. Now, you must differentiate between inference and inferential knowledge. There's a knowledge there. So there is the wisdom faculty involved in when you mention knowledge. It's not something you say, now a man has 2 legs. Now a crow has also 2 legs, and so a man is a crow. This definitely wouldn't call knowledge, even in terms of worldly sense. So what he explains is inferential knowledge comes from the empirical knowledge. So the question is, what is this empirical knowledge? This empirical knowledge comes with the present moment and the present object. That's why the question was, do you observe the object in the past, present, or future? The answer is the present. And when you watch the object in the present moment, that means you go directly into the 3 characteristics and you get the empirical knowledge. That means at that moment you experience the 3 characteristics, and in the first insight knowledge, the non-self. Now when you talk of Sammasana, third insight knowledge, you're talking of many phenomena. And so you don't observe all the objects at the same time. And so you have many of these empirical knowledges, and together they form a inferential knowledge. Is that clear? Now, in this, you must remember here, in this case, this is not thinking. Not in the sense that I can see my rising, falling, so it must be the same as Piero's rising, falling. That comes under thinking. In this case, it is not. It is what that follows, the knowledge that follows another knowledge. So in this case, all these are inferential knowledge. Undici. But still it is inside knowledge. Okay, now we come to this. Back to our Nibbana, 21. The object of this Nibbana are the Nibbananas itself, like craving, anger. You know? Now, this craving or anger that you observe, is it the past or the present? Past, because you're mindful at the moment, so object, the past. Can you use the past object for empirical knowledge? Because just now we said that empirical knowledge comes from the present object and the present moment. But this is a past, which means that you cannot have empirical knowledge, you also don't have that inferential knowledge. We can go one step further. What about the consciousness? When you watch the consciousness, the object is the past, present, or future. As we said yesterday, we cannot have the present. It's the immediate past. So in that case, we cannot get empirical knowledge from watching consciousness. True? So why do you want to watch consciousness and defilements? It wouldn't give insight. Because it's not there anyway, already the past. Should we wash consciousness? Of course we should. In the Satipatthana Sutta, Nibbana, try to get the exact words. When sense desire is present in him, Bhikkhu knows there is sense desire in me. When sense desire is absent in him, he knows there is no sense desire in me. He also knows the reason by which the arising of non-arisen sense desire comes to be. He also knows the reason why the abandoning of the arisen sense desire comes to be. He also knows the reason by which the non-arising of abandoned sense desire in the future comes to be. This is the instruction of the Buddha in the Satipatthana Sutta. Where's the discrepancy? Are there loopholes in the Abhidhamma? I think so. But where? There must be something here that it may not be there's anything wrong with the Abhidhamma, it may be how we interpret it. I like this very much, this type of things, because that's where we discover certain things we never think of. So this is my opinion. The discrepancy is in the concept of time. Time is a concept. When we say present, what do we mean by the present? The present as a concept because it's connected to the past and the future. Is that the past? Is that the future? Is that the present? This was what my Zen teacher asked me. And actually I got insight from that. So we learn very well that when we do Vipassana, we must put away all concepts, because all concepts are constructs of the mind. Because the concept of time comes from the compactness of continuity. Okay, let's see. We watch your rising and falling. Usually when we watch the rising and falling, still there's the idea of the concept of time around. Usually we say when you watch rising and falling, you watch the beginning, middle and end. When it starts to begin, it's the present. It goes to the middle, the present becomes past. No, that's another present. And the future has not yet arrived. When the future arrives, the future also becomes present. So is there a past, present and future? No, but there is the phenomena. So the arising is present. The middle is also present. Future is also the present. There's no the dissolution is also the present. So what's the difference between the three? Is the present always changing? Present is a concept. No time. It's only the phenomena. So which is real? The arising, the middle, or the passing away? According to one meditation teacher, I can't remember which one. I think it was a Burmese, and he wrote in the book, The Dissolution. The dissolution is the part that is closest to reality. We say the manifestation, which is closest to reality. So the arising, the middle, and the dissolution is the same thing. This is when you go into it. That means at that time, the beginning, middle, end is the same. Which is the basic thing about the impermanence. So what do you experience? Closest to it will be dissolution. So if you see the arising clearly, it will be dissolution. Because the moment it arises, it dissolves. Yeah? Do you agree? Okay. So what actually does it mean when you say empirical insight? Can you have empirical knowledge that gives rise to inferential knowledge in the first insight? Second insight? Third? Yes? Four? Yesterday? What about with craving, which is supposed to be the past object? What is there? Yes. Otherwise, how can there be first insight knowledge, second insight knowledge, third insight? So what essentially means by empirical knowledge is transcendental experience. So the present object, I feel personally, is the object of a presence. Because the presence would bring you to experience the three universal characteristics, which is essentially transcendence. So if you watch the craving or anger with strong insight mindfulness, the moment you see it, it disappears. Then there's a transcendence of the presence of this craving or anger. So don't get too confused with these words. Craving arises, watch anger mindfully, see it pass away. Get too involved with what is inferential and empirical, then you might even involve in a lot of Abhidhamma concepts. Then we have the next one. Reviewing knowledge. There's the reviewing process and the reviewing knowledge. This has some similarities with the inferential and the empirical. Talking of knowledge, normally, like reviewing in the ordinary sense is like, you were sleeping, you had a dream. Then you wake up. When you wake up, you immediately have an idea what was in the dream. Because the thought processes that were going on in a dream, when you wake up, the mind, awakened mind, automatically reviews it. You say, oh, I had a beautiful dream. I was so young and pretty again. I would like to go back there again. That is not knowledge, that's attachment. But it is a reviewing process. This occurs also in a good state, like after having experienced empirical knowledge. This reviewing process occurs after, let's say, experience of a certain insight. So is this reviewing process also inferential knowledge? Is it so, Jenny? Remember, this also no thinking. It's just like the process being imprinted on the next process. Let's say, take for example, a certain insight knowledge, the 16th insight knowledge, Paccavekkhana jnana, the 16th reviewing knowledge. This occurs after the Maggaphala jnana, after the process of realization. So it reviews the knowledges of the Magga, the Phala, and the Nibbana object. That means the Nibbana object is impressed onto the ordinary, beautiful consciousness, Saruttara. That means the normal mind, like you are in meditating, not normal, sharp, clear mindfulness, sees the object of Nibbana, not a blackout. You see little Nibbana in all its characteristics. Now, is this object a present object or past object? Which one? Present. Wrong. You never listen properly. It is timeless. Especially Nibbana is timeless. On the top of that, it does not arise and it does not pass away. Not the process. So when you experienced it in the reviewing knowledge, is it an experiential, empirical knowledge or inferential knowledge?
The imprint or is the experience?
The object.
Even that is beyond.
It is empirical knowledge. It's direct experience. In which case, the important thing is experiencing it. It doesn't matter if you call it inferential. It's not important. Important you experience it, your defilements are purified, that's it. Important thing is, it is actual inside knowledge. Whether empirical or inferential, important. But not inferential in terms of thinking this is that, this is pure stomach. No, not that. So, secondly, the differentiation between inferential and empirical knowledge has a purpose. Keeps you in line with the process of transcendence. And this is what is important. The idea with the three characteristics is transcendence, going beyond. Impermanence helps you to go beyond the signs. Suffering helps you to overcome with detachment. Non-self helps you to perceive the nature of reality. Okay, we come back to this. And so we'll talk about the sensual desires. So the next one is patigha, ill will, or sometimes they call it, basically it's aversion. And when you watch it, you see the hindrance, which is the ill will. Then from there, you look into the conditioning, ill will as a condition. And so from the condition, you know what brings it up and what brings it down. And then from there, you go into the three characteristics. Finally, cessation, which is, you can say it is Nibbana. Of course, you can mention again the causes for the arising. And for the main thing brought about by the Satipatthana commentary will be yoniso and anyoniso manasikara. And so, now an interesting thing to add is, as we said yesterday, the attention is very important in determining the states of mind that follow and the object that is known. Now, it would be very useful you can, but this manasikara is also conditioned. Conditioned by what? For example, this is a very useful book I carry with me. It's about the 52 cetasika mental states. It tells you the salient points of each cetasika, the characteristics, the function, the manifestation, and the proximate cause. For example, manasikara and ayoniso manasikara. We talk about the yoniso manasikara, the wise attention, and the ayoniso unwise attention would be the opposite. For example, pubbe kata punyata, which is having done wholesome deeds in the past. Patirupadesa, a suitable place of where you live. Sappurisa nitsaya, dependence on a good man. And is on a wise man, dependence. No? Like for example, you take him as your friend or teacher, or something. Suppose this saya, usually suppose the young monk takes or dependence on the older monk. Sadhamma savanang, having listened to the true Dhamma, true teachings. Atta samapanidi, a righteous will. A righteous will. I thought it was simple. Righteous moral. Okay? These are conditions. Which one would stand out in your meditation? Boleh? Dependence? No. Atta samapinidi. He who takes refuge in himself is the best refuge. Atta samapanidi. Depends on your will. Of course, here if you talk of insight knowledge, it must be something to do with insight and with insight, no? And so you are the captain of the ship. So what does the captain, when you want to control your ship, what do? Ship nave, not pecora. If you are a teacher, then maybe a ship. How? What do you do? You must have hands on the rudder, on the control. Like when you first learn driving, the driver instructor will make sure she holds onto the brake. In the same way, it's like that, no? To be more precise, it would be the rudder. So you have a mind on the manasikara cetasika, and you can control it directly. Willpower, most effective way. And try it works. I see the manasikara, then I turn it. How do I turn it? I associate my ears with the control. So I want it to be dust. And then, okay, justo, and then it goes well. Jokes aside, I did that. Do that. Because after some time, you don't need to put the things. Sometimes I do this. People think I'm stretching myself. Sometimes, but I'm turning the marker also works. Okay, we stop here today.